everybody. Welcome back to Clapback Culture, another Thursday episode. I'm your co-host, Jules Jessie, alongside my co-host, Mike Davis of the South Seattle Emerald. We're glad to be here. What up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, Julia?
Man, just macking and hanging another Friday Eve. And yeah, not much. How was your week?
Man, my week was good, to be honest, man. It was good, man. How about yours?
It was pretty cool, no really big complaints. Today I went and hung out with the council member at an event, and they are offering a financial literacy program to the Maya Angelou's public charter school here in DC. A bank, I'm sorry, JP Morgan Chase Bank is offering a financial literacy program at Maya Angelou public charter school. And so I got to see the quarter. I got to see the Maya Angelou quarter today.
Oh, that's what's up. And the kids did too?
Yeah, they got the quarter, and it was like in this whole like award thing. It was pretty dope, but doesn't look like Maya Angelou at all.
Well, that's because it's on a quarter.
Yeah.
Still though.
Still holding out, still holding out for that Harriet Tubman moment, but neither here nor there. We want to welcome you guys to the show. Welcome back. Thank you, Leon, Brianna. Love to see you guys. Glad to have you here. We might as well jump right into it. The first thing on the menu, you guys, is we want to talk about one of the highlights that came out from the State of the Union. And President Biden, he delivered his first State of the Union, as you guys know, this week, Tuesday night. I personally didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but I did swing through to watch some of the highlights. And one of the things that he talked about, you guys, is like pledging to fund the police and put up a lot of focus into gun violence and gun violence prevention. We have a clip about it. We're going to play it. And when we come back, we'll talk about it.
I know what works. Investigating crime prevention and community policing, cops who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, and who can restore trust and safety. Let's not abandon our streets or choose between safety and equal justice. Let's come together and protect our communities, restore trust, and hold law enforcement accountable. That's why the Justice Department has required body cameras, banned chokeholds, and restricted no-knock warrants for its officers. That's why the American Rescue Plan that you all provided $350 billion that cities, states, and counties can use to hire more police, invest in more proven strategies. Proven strategies like community violence interruption, trusted messengers, breaking the cycle of violence and trauma, and giving young people some hope. We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities.
Well, before we dive deep into his statement, you guys, one thing I think that was pretty dope and worth mentioning is that in honor of Women's History Month, what a great way to kick it off by seeing Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris sitting behind, President Joe Biden. It's definitely a historic moment to see two women and a woman of color sitting behind the president. We've never seen that, and it's remarkable and absolutely amazing. And hopefully more to come. And maybe we'll have a woman standing in front to replace President Joe Biden when he is done with his term. So just thought that was worth mentioning since it is Women's History Month. So y'all, back to the subject at hand, and we're talking about defunding the police. We noticed, Mike, that this was a bipartisan applause, that we got, a lot of cheers in the aisle. I think we even heard Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, yeah, in the back. She's one of the hecklers that was in there, so we'll talk about that too. But what are your thoughts on this funding the police, which is clearly a jab at, the movement of defund the police? And let us know what you guys think in the comments so we can put some of those up.
Wow, I don't even know where to begin with this one. Joe Biden said that he knows what works. Well, in the history of Joe Biden, the only thing that he's ever thought that worked was locking people up. I mean, he sees Mr. Incarceration himself. I'm no abolitionist. Let's be clear. Like, I'm not one of the people out here that thinks that police should just be gone at the snap of a finger. But it would be nice if he could have gave us some specifics instead of just a bunch of catchphrases. I think that what he just said was a bunch of words, but I truly don't know what they mean. The fact that he got the bipartisan applause, I don't even know if that's even a good thing. I mean, now he's kind of taking this turn and he's making this appeal to who? To the Republicans, because the Republicans, their constituency is never going to vote for Joe Biden. So alienating the folks that actually voted him into office, I don't even understand where he's going to go making a play like that. And then as far as, giving the police more funding, I mean, how much funds do the police need? Like, the police were never defunded. I mean, there are plenty articles, there's plenty of research done. All of the cities that scream defund, 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 most of those cities' police budgets actually got larger instead of smaller. So when can we get data that shows us a statistical correlation between more funds for the police and a drop in crime? Because crime is here. Incarceration is here. Police is here. Police budgets are bigger now than they've ever been. And yet we still have all of this crime. So it's just not adding up. Now, if he has a real plan, well, then tell us what the plan is. But so far, every plan that he's had fell through. Now, if he was able to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act and then start talking about funding the police and using the resources of the police in the ways that were outlined in that plan, then maybe we'd be talking about something. But that plan fell through. So I have to be skeptical when Mr. Incarceration himself is talking about giving more funds to the police, because I just don't understand what he wants to do to actually address crime. If you really want to address crime, how about you address poverty for real? Not with your little checks that people are finding out that they have to give back when their taxes is due. I mean, what happened with your Build Back Better plan? What happened to closing the wealth gap? What happened to closing the education gap? What happened to voting rights? Well, like, there's so many things that he promised that could have helped strengthen communities, and strengthening communities is the thing that's going to deter crime, not ignoring communities and then giving a bunch of money to police officers. So, I mean, to me, everything that he said in that clip were just words, and I didn't hear any substance in that I believe will lead to any change in the streets.
Damn, hell of a clapback. Glad to have you on the show, Mike Davis. Honestly, I had not thought about it that deep in terms of thinking about the legislation that had yet to pass, but you're damn right about that. One thing that we know about Americans, you guys, is that America has no public interest in moving money away from police departments. But that's exactly what defund the police means, right? It's not that we don't want police departments and that we don't want policing. It's that we want to just support divesting funds and reallocating those funds outside of the police department and really implementing them into public safety strategies, community support initiatives, and other social services, wraparound services, housing, education, healthcare, other community resources, so that we can see how to properly support public safety initiatives and not just increase the rate of incarceration, right? Because that's honestly what we're seeing is just more people going to jail. There is one thing that I do agree on that President Biden discussed, and that was his stance on really cracking down on gun trafficking and ghost guns. We talked about ghost guns on the show previously, and ghost guns are absolutely getting out of hand. And the fact that you can order, the product online and create this gun, it's not registered. There's no background check. There's just nothing to track it down. It's literally a ghost. But it's a real weapon that can kill somebody. I think we absolutely need to pass legislation around that. He also talked about increasing background checks, very important, and really funding other resources to support increasing those background checks. Like, how do we actually put that into process? But this idea, and I think you guys would agree with me in the comments. I'm seeing some comments on that, on what I'm going to say now, and that's, we've already been funding training for police officers, and where has that gotten us? And so the question is, who is going to provide that compliance and oversight? You guys know I'm really, really, really big on that. We have to hold police accountable just as much as we need to be able to hold citizens accountable for the things that they do. Today, it was also mentioned that the police officer that was charged in the shooting related incident around Breonna Taylor, but not Breonna Taylor's direct shooting, but just like shooting in that apartment building, was not charged. And so where is the compliance and oversight there? And so, I feel like President Biden is, kind of pandering to this bipartisan base right now with this whole fund the police. I think it was rhetoric that he used to kind of get everybody to unionize. And it sucks because rather than saying fund the police, what he should have said is like, we need to reallocate funds for policing and invest in the community and invest in supportive services and wraparound services to help people on the streets. And so until we see that, we're just going to see an increase in officers and an increase in over policing, and we're not going to get anywhere, and we're not going to get anywhere very fast.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that, everything you're saying, I agree. Mm-hmm. I think a really big letdown for me with Joe Biden's administration was the failure of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And when you're describing the accountability of the police and all of the things that you're saying, like, those are all things that were in that act. And it wasn't just, the ban of chokeholds and stuff like that. Like, that was in there. All the standard stuff was in there, but it was also like creating a database of police misconduct. It also went towards qualified immunity and coming up with solutions to that. And the idea that police kill somebody and taxpayers just have to foot the bill every time. Like, these are all things that were in that plan, the plan that he promised to the family of George Floyd, and then the plan fell through. So I have these conversations all of the time because I personally feel like I've been in situations where I feel like policing has worked. I worked in the late night program. We had police officers that came in, they hooped with our kids. And I said this on this show before, when they would see our kids skipping school, or they would see our kids stealing from stores, even they would pick the kids up, bring them back to the community center. Like, I'm all for programs like that. I'm all for community policing. I'm all for having police that actually make themselves a part of the community, who actually know the youth, because I've seen how effective that can be. So I'm not saying that Joe Biden should say police get no funds. I'm saying give us the legislation that you promised, because that's the legislation that will lead to proper policing, that will lead to changes in policing. Without that legislation and then giving more funds to the police, all we're going to see is more of what we're already seeing. And we can't keep going down this path that we have right now, because we don't have safety in our communities. And that's with or without police at this point.
Very, 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 very much agree with you. Okay, so we're gonna hold that thought for a moment. Another thing that I noticed about the State of the Union, guys, is, did you guys notice that no one had a mask on? President Biden walked in, didn't have a mask on, was shaking hands with everybody. Absolutely no one that I could see in the chamber had on a mask. And Joe Biden went on to say, hey, we're back, and I guess we're back.
You wear your mask?
No, I don't.
Not.
The mask mandate is down here in DC. I mean, it's I haven't been wearing it when I'm in the gym. You don't have to wear it in the gym anymore. You do have to still wear it in businesses that require it. Schools still have a requirement to do that. And no, honestly, I do wear my mask in the stores, grocery stores and stuff, I guess just out of habit. But if I can take my mask off, I will.
Man, we're headed that way up here. I think the date's in March. It's coming.
It is. Let us know how you guys feel about wearing your mask and taking the mask off. I mean, I'd like to know how people feel about that. But apparently everybody had to test negative. A few congressional people weren't allowed in because they tested positive. That was probably, I sure hope it doesn't become a super spreader event. Me either. But I think at this point, it's very difficult to say kids have to go back to school because education is important, and then us not get back to this kind of old school version of working. I really hate going into the office, you guys. You just have absolutely no idea. I really, really hate it. I hate trying to find parking. I hate paying for parking. I hate getting dressed up. I don't want to do all that.
How many days a week?
Right now we're at 2. Next week, starting Monday, we're at 3.
Okay.
And then the week after that, 4. And then by April, we should be back full time. Yeah,
Well,
it's a transition. I'm not enjoying it.
Welcome back, y'all. We back. It's back to business in the United States.
Back to business in the United States. Anyway, moving forward, another thing that came up, you guys, is the Supreme Court judge nomination. The Senate Judiciary Committee announced on Wednesday that the confirmation hearings for the Supreme Court nomination of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson will begin on March 21st, which is coming up. Democratic leaders are setting a goal of reaching a final Senate vote by April the 8th. Judge Jackson will be formally introduced during televised hearings on March 21st, followed by 2 days of questioning and 1 day of testimony from an additional witness. So this is going to be an eventful couple of weeks. I mean, I really enjoyed watching, I guess because it was like some tea of the last Supreme Court justice when he was going through those confirmation hearings, and all that tea was being spilled that he had the allegations of that rape. So I think Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, I don't think we're going to have as much interest in that, but I am looking forward to seeing her credentials. So far, she has met with some congressional leaders, and they really have said really good things about her on both sides of the aisle, and that they plan to make positive and constructive decisions for their state. So we'll see. But I don't know, Mike. I think she'll get the approval for sure by the Senate.
No, she'll definitely get the approval. I'm all for it. I think the rollout might have been a little smoother had Joe Biden have not just come out so hard. Oh, I'm going to have a black woman. Like, he could have just
nominated her.
Exactly. Because she's super qualified. But now we got the crazy folks. You got Tucker Carlson asking to see her grades from college, which is super ridiculous. But I mean, look, I always have my hesitation of people that are this close in the legal system, but I don't want to mispronounce her first name, but just reading up on her and her past, I'm not going to front. I was super impressed. She went to Harvard, but outside of that, she was a public defender, man. So it's super dope to have someone make it to that level of being a judge. I mean, this is the biggest stage possible, and you got someone who was a public defender. They know that world. She had an uncle that caught a life sentence on a drug charge. His sentence was actually vacated by Obama, so he's home. But but she got that in her background. Her brother, a couple of her uncles were cops. She got an uncle that was chief of police. So she has a really well-rounded background, a lot of experience on both sides of the law. And when you look at some of the cases that she's fought, she went up against, she had rulings against Trump. She's had rulings against the FDA, other big government. Like, she's real. Like, I'm impressed. So, she's super qualified. And yeah, man, this is a great addition. A great addition.
Taking on this position, this is one hell of an interview, right? Because your entire professional and personal life is coming up. Every single aspect of your personal and professional life is going to be scrutinized, and it's also going to be publicized, right? And so you're just thinking about all of these staffers that are just digging and digging and digging and asking and creating all these questions for her to answer. So we wish her well in her journey, in her confirmation hearings, and so far so good. I mean, you don't accept the nomination if you got the closet. So we'll see what happens. And we'll be looking forward to that. And when it does, we'll come back and talk more about that, you guys. So we all know about the Russia and Ukraine crisis. It's been taking over all of the headlines, you guys. But one thing that stood out that we want to talk about is a statement by Ukraine President Zelensky on evacuation. Me and Mike thought that this was just such an ultimate clapback. Anyway, President Zelensky, he turned down an offer from the U.S. on evacuation from the capital of Kyiv. And this is what was on Twitter in his comment saying, "The fight is here. I need ammunition, not a ride."
That's gangster.
I mean, that's real gangster.
That's gangster right there.
Ukrainians are, proud of their president. They're really proud on how he's handling it. I mean, listen, I had a conversation with Rodney. I'm like, how would you feel like if we were in a state of war? Like, would you fight for America? And he was like, absolutely. And I guess it's just, to think here we are in 2022, and you're like, men from 18 to 60 are being held, not being held like hostage, but the president is saying, listen, anybody who's between the age of 18 and 60, if you're a man, you need to stay in your country right now and boss up and fight. And people are making the what is it, Molotov cocktails. I mean, armed, ready to go. Like, I mean, you're just patriotism at its finest.
They was passing out AK-47s to everybody. That was wild. I don't want to say the number because I don't want to get it wrong, but when that count that I saw was astonishing. I'm like, yo. And like, I think one of the craziest stories that I've seen, there was a fighter from Ukraine who wasn't even in the country when this jumped off. Bruh flew back. Like, he was gone. He was safe. He was in safety. He's rich. He was chilling. He came home, got him an AK, set up shop, man. The Klitschko brothers, heavyweight champions. One of them is a mayor. Took up arms. That's crazy, man. They're not doing that in America. Like, y'all must be tripping. Like, celebrities that just happen to be in another country, they're not flying home to fight. I'm not hearing that. But did you know that Zelensky was an actor?
No, I had no idea.
Bro was a comedian. He was he won comedy competitions, and before he ran for president, he played the Ukrainian president in a TV show in Ukraine, and then was like, and then he ran for president and won. It's crazy.
Well, let me tell you, it's nothing funny or comedic about the way he's handling this war, because he's coming off like a straight badass. I'm proud, and he's not even my president, right? And I think he's really, really stepping up to the plate and taking it like a real champ. And Leon's right. Putin did not expect this. Like, he did not expect Ukraine to put up such a big fight. And let me tell you, they are not folding. President Zelensky said in a statement, "I am here. We are not putting down arms. We will be defending our country because our weapon is truth, and our truth is that this is our land, our country, our children, and we will defend it, and we will defend all of this." So that's it.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted to tell you. That's what he put at the end.
That's real, man.
Lost up.
Sounds just like what the Haitians said, but we kind of took that one differently. But they're fighting, man. Protect your land, man. That's your right. For real.
Yeah, I mean, and shout out to all of the countries, including, the United States, that are really imposing these new sanctions. We did see such a big impact this week on Russia and on those sanctions, and how it's
a question for you. How do you feel about the tech companies that have been doing this, like Apple and Google, and you know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, they can't use Apple Pay in Russia right now. How do you feel about these companies taking those types of steps? They're not government, they're private.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely support it. I mean, if we're first of all, this is a war criminal right now. Like, can you imagine just being a regular? Because if we're not talking about politics, we're not talking about military, like, you're actually just talking about regular everyday people who are having to defend their lives. And, they're just trying to be normal people. And, people are actually dying. So yes, I think that when we talk about this level of responsibility, Russia doesn't get to go to war with Ukraine and it doesn't affect everybody, right? Like this stuff is bleeding over into everybody. Right now, gas prices are astronomical. I think in California, it's up to $6. I know here it's close to $5. And so that's just something very small in comparison to people having to fight for their lives. And so I am, I support all of these sanctions. I support, Apple pulling back, Google pulling back. And I think, you have to hit people where it hurts. A lot of these Russian elites that they met with and, that are worried about their cash flow and their capital. I mean, if you start hitting their pockets, they're absolutely going to start pressing down. And that's what it's about. If we start slamming their economy, that could be a huge blow. And that's exactly what we need to do. We should not be using nuclear weapons right now. We don't want anyone else to be killed. So this is such a great way to kind of take them down. So really, it needs to be lights out for Russia moving forward. And we have to continue to hold them responsible as a world.
I agree. I think it's been interesting too, seeing like some of the images of like when their tanks run out of gas and they hop out. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like some of the Russian soldiers don't really want to fight as hard as Putin wants them to fight. Like, we're not seeing Russian soldiers hopping out of tanks, busting guns. Like, they're just kind of hopping out like, I guess we're done now. And it's so weird to see.
Because they don't want, they don't support this war. I mean, Linda said it
doesn't look like they do.
Can we put Linda's comment back up? She says many Russians are leaving and heading over to Finland, leaving St. Petersburg to go to Finland. They're also afraid. Can you imagine that our president just made the decision for us to go to war and they're like, you know what, we're going to take over Canada. And you're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
I don't want to take over Canada. Like, that's not my beef. I don't really that's not my beef. I'm cool. I don't want to go back to work.
Wild.
Right? Like, there's so much other just like regular stuff that we're talking about. Like, I don't want that beef. I don't want to feel endangered. And Russia, the citizens of Russia are also feeling like, man, Putin's wild. Like, he's a wild dude. So yeah, I mean, the United States prohibited American dollar transactions in Russia with the Russian central bank, and fully blocked the Russian direct investment fund to prevent Russia from mitigating some of the effects of the sanctions. So they're going to get hit hard. I know that there's some more alleged cyber attacks coming up. I think, Leon, you mentioned that in our last conversation, but this is, I don't know, this is just getting so wild and out of control. And our prayers continue to go up for all of the innocent on both sides that are having to defend themselves in this.
Hey, Cuddy, can you put up Leon's comment? I thought the same thing, Leon. Like, looking at the clips and seeing some of the images, like, it just didn't really seem like a lot of those Russian soldiers were there to fight. It seemed, yeah.
I know. They're like, oh, we ran out of gas, so we can't.
Putin got them in a real sticky situation like that. That seems like a bad idea, man. I seen a Ukrainian tractor pulling a tank away. Like, they're still in tanks now. There's a Ukrainian lady on TikTok showing people how to drive tanks. Like, oh, the Ukrainians is wild.
One thing about it too is that, we have so many independent journalists. I mean, because everybody has a cell phone. And did you see the clip of the grandmother who approached the Russian soldier and gave him sunflower seeds and was like, yeah, I hope this blossoms over your dead body. Like, she bossed up. Yes. I was like, damn, in grandma style too. She kept her beef. Like, so I don't think Russia anticipated Ukraine to really go this hard, but much respect to them. Yeah.
And to Matt's comment, no, I absolutely do not think the U.S. military should intervene. I don't think we should send no troops. There's no need for any Americans to die over this Russia-Ukraine beef. The sanctions are enough. You see how powerful the U.S. is. U.S. says the word, and companies are not messing with Russia. Their bank got the money froze. Like, that's going to be enough to get the job done. Also, the reason why NATO is there is for this. So if they need troops, there are troops that are already there. It doesn't necessarily need to be us.
Yeah, no, I agree. We can continue to support them, with with money, with funding to get them artillery, to get them ammunition. I know that countries like Japan have sent over, I believe it was 250 million. I may be wrong, so you guys check that out. But if you guys go to President Zelensky's Twitter account, he definitely is tweeting out in real time about the countries that are sending in support, and he's thanking them for the support. So the sanctions is the first thing. Oh, go ahead.
One more. Can you put that comment up right there by Arlo?
Putin definitely war criminal now, but did Americans deserve sanctions after we invaded Afghanistan? Hard to feel okay about sanctions that hurt Russian people and make all responsible for leaders' madness.
That's the game, Arlo. Sorry, we're Americans. I don't disagree with you, but I can't sit here and say sanction me. Nah, man, I need this apple, baby. But I do think, but I get it though. I do think that there's something to that, because when we're looking at these Ukrainians throwing Molotov cocktails, and that's cool. But when a certain people were throwing Molotov cocktails at the Israeli soldiers, we called them terrorists. And that's not that long ago. That literally just happened. So
and just finished. And it absolutely nothing happened because of that. So
really, I mean, that's the game. Like one man's hero is another man's terrorist. It's a terrible game that we're playing, but you know, we're Americans and we could protest, we could talk about it, but you know, I'm sorry, Leon. It's just what it is, man. Like I'm an American. I'm born and raised here. I don't want to see my family hurt. Like I don't know.
I just don't want to get into a place where we start having conversations about nuclear weapons. I mean, if United States starts playing around with Russia, it's gonna get crazy real fast. Like, don't even worry about no sanctions. It ain't gonna be about no sanctions. It's gonna be people just gonna be blowing shit up.
Fingers on the button. We don't need that.
We don't need that. Like, we don't need that. Let's just talk about defunding the police. Let's just talk about that. Look, you guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk to you guys about the Forbes journalist who basically posted out a new list of hip hop rappers with the highest level of income, highest paid rappers in 2021. Let's talk about it. We are shocked, but we'll talk about it when we come back. Stay tuned.
When the pandemic hit, it did affect me. As a barber, I had my own personal reasons why I didn't get vaccinated. At the time, I didn't check the actual source. I thought the vaccine was developed too fast, but I was talking to a doctor and he was telling me more about the vaccine and what it can do to protect us and our family. I wanted to get back to that once was, right? I do feel safe knowing that I am vaccinated. I just hope what I'm saying is reaching into people's heads to know that this is the best decision for all of us.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Y'all, welcome back. We got to dive right into the money, y'all. But one thing, Chip, I do see your comment about Ukraine's state of racial diversity. I do want to talk about that next week. we did see that was a lot of discrimination when it came to people from the Africa diaspora. We'll just say that.
Yes. There's a really good article in The Guardian. Y'all should check it out. And if you can't, we'll bring it back next week.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring it back next week. I did see that and I wanted to talk about that. But let's get into these rappers. I can't believe some of these people made the list and are making this much money, y'all.
For real. In 2022.
But here we have it. So former Forbes journalist Zach O'Malley Greenberg dropped the list, and heading that list is, of course, Jay-Z. And coming in second is the artist formerly known as Kanye West, as being the top two, you guys. And Jay-Z at 470 million. That's crazy. And Kanye West at 250 million. And Diddy comes in at 75 million, right under that. And then, of course, Drake. I definitely thought Drake would come through with a little bit more bread. But what we do know is that Jay-Z, his latest victory comes as a result of Tidal. I used to use Tidal all the time. I now don't, because no one else uses Tidal. And when I want to share music, I want to use the Apple Music, but I actually really do prefer Tidal. And his Champagne deal. He's coming in second, and they're really tying that to his sneaker deal and the success of Donda. And then Diddy is coming in because of his deal, with his deals like the Ciroc, and all of the beverages that come from that. So what we're seeing, Mike, is that a lot of this revenue that's being generated is not coming from investment. And do you know that these guys, so Jay-Z has a brunch called the Rock Nation Brunch. Yeah. And when you see all these powerful, I would really say powerful people in entertainment collectively come together, a lot of them being people of color, Black men, kind of like you just see the Black men in the picture, everyone's all suited and booted and whatever, but they are literally sitting around the table and having conversations about investing, about generating wealth. And I love to see it.
Yo, I was shocked to see Wiz. I had to look that out. Wiz Khalifa right now, but cannabis.
Yeah,
man, finally a Black person is making some money in this cannabis game, man. Seattle tricked me because they had me thinking Sean Kemp was going to be the first one. And then we found out that they just used the picture of Sean Kemp and he actually didn't own nothing. But shout out to Wiz, man. And Doja Cat, man. Doja Cat getting that Pepsi money.
I know.
Like you said, though, not from rap.
Nope.
So
and DJ Khaled, I was surprised to see him so high ranking. But he's getting it through his partnership with Pandora and Dolce & Gabbana. So I'm telling you, they're making some good deals behind doors. Drake, I think you need to step it up, because I definitely thought Drake would come through with a little bit more capital.
He's the rapper.
I'm not surprised to see Travis Scott, especially, with his connection.
You can't even count his partnerships, man. He had Nike, he had McDonald's. He's everywhere.
What about Tech Nine at 25 million?
I don't know how, but Tech Nine made me the happiest. Because Tech Nine he's still primarily independent. He has a little deal, but it's a digital streaming only deal. But when you see Tech Nine getting that rap money, he's getting that money. It's not getting broken up with no label. So shout out to Tech Nine, because he's been out here. He was old when I was a kid. So, but Birdman, how is Birdman still on this list?
Come on, you know how Birdman is still on this list.
What was it from Birds? What is Birdman doing?
You already know
he's about to have Birdman in jail behind this list.
He's still getting that Young Money, Cash Money.
That's crazy.
He's got so many people tied up in deals you don't even know. He's getting that paper at number 10. So he's at a tie with Birdman. Birdman is at a tie with Doja Cat and Tech Nine. Anyway, really.
Can I just say though, one thing that makes me happy, and just like you said, all of this stuff is from outside of what they do. It's putting Black entertainers. I will put athletes in this category as well.
100%.
In a category to finally have agency over themselves, man. For so long, it was white folks that was eating off of these black brilliance, no matter what it is. And it makes me think of something that just happened in basketball with Ben Simmons, who didn't want to play for the Philadelphia 76ers no more. And he left $20 million on the table. And white folks is, how can he do that? It's because he has a Nike deal. Like, he didn't just need your NBA wealthy owner money because he had his own money on the side. And when he didn't want to play, he didn't have to play. So just shout out to black folks, man, really stepping up and taking agency for themselves. We're seeing a lot of black filmmakers. We're seeing black folks in the TV game, just all of these really, really big money industries. We're actually tapping in, and it's not just us being used and abused. It's us actually taking control of some of the capital.
Perfect example. I mean, this whole idea of like shut up and dribble is just no longer.
So,
I mean, right now we're also seeing a lot of people being able to control their brand by through social media, right? And so they're even able to create $1 million deals just on themselves alone. And so you don't have to stay in the box anymore when you are a celebrity or an entertainer. And you should really just like cross all the way around and do deals with other brands to become an influencer or to go into movies, go into anything really that your heart so desires. I mean, look at 50 Cent. Like 50 Cent has fully transitioned out of being like a hip hop artist, and he's making that bread. I'm actually surprised he did not make the list with all of the deals that he had with Showtime. A lot of the deals that he had with his own liquor company. I mean, we're just seeing people in the entertainment industry like really, really, really just generating wealth in business outside of how they got started. And so that's dope. That's
some of these kids didn't even know that Snoop Dogg rapped. That's wild. Snoop Dogg rapped at the halftime show, and there's little kids that knew Snoop Dogg from Corona commercials. Like, that's wild, man. These guys got full careers after their careers, man. That's dope.
I mean, look at Snoop Dogg, like, playing around with Martha Stewart in the kitchen. Like,
for real.
He himself has created himself to be a brand of its own. Like, anything he is, it's just like he's almost like a character, you know?
Man. Ice Cube too, man. I don't think they understand that Ice Cube used to be a gangster. They don't.
And did a good 20 years on Law and Order SVU. Okay?
So we're out here, man. Black folks is out here, man. I love celebrating blackness. That was a good story to bring.
Another well, this is gonna take the blackness back down a little bit, you guys. But the Estee Lauder executive was fired after posting this wild ass Chingy meme. The makeup company Estee Lauder fired its senior executive. The executive reposted this viral kind of image on Instagram, and this is the actual image, you guys. And so it's a play on this book, and you can read it for yourself. It's super wild. Estee Lauder said they terminated the executive. His name is John Dempsey. He posted this on his personal Instagram page. I'm just so confused why he thought that this would just be a good repost. And in his statement, he says this decision, he says that he apologizes. This was a mistake and carelessly reposted a racist meme without reading it beforehand. Why would you post something? Why are you reposting something without rereading it? Like, that's BS.
He read it and he laughed.
And then so he's getting all this backlash. Initially, they had him on unpaid leave, but they now have terminated him. And they're continuing to make efforts to drive inclusivity on both sides, in and outside of the company, blah, blah, blah. You know, the whole statement, the same PR spin on that. But again, this is a good example about, making decision as a company. We've kind of had some conversations about this on and offline. When you do work for somebody, you represent that organization. And that is extremely racist. I absolutely wouldn't touch that. I'm Black, and I still wouldn't repost that, because what I do and say on my social media can be reflected on Councilmember White. And that is just what happens. And so we are not safe to just publicly say anything. I mean, look at us now. We're going through this confirmation hearing, and the Supreme Court nominee, Judge Brown Jackson, her entire life is going to be scrutinized. And so in the world of this digital age, everything we say online is going to reflect back on us. And there's just not enough sorries to go around. So be careful about what you post on your social media account. Even when stuff is funny, like I avoid even liking it if it's just too foul and too out of control. So
yeah, man, you gotta come on, man. You can't be out here losing your executive job over some likes. Like, what was your goal here, guy? That was wild. What are you doing? Why would he do that? Like, who does that?
Yeah.
Not worth your job, man.
Mama Walden said the fake man. Exactly. I mean, definitely a fake statement.
You gotta screenshot that and put it in the group chat, homie. Don't go public.
And sometimes you're not safe in the group chat. You are not. Sometimes it's just like a phone conversation. Sometimes you are not safe in the group chat. I'll tell you what, I don't play around in the group chat because you just never know who's gonna. Screenshots are real. Okay. People listen in, they will spread your business. If it comes out your mouth, just consider it to be public. So nothing is safe. When you put something out there and you tell somebody about it, it's not safe. So if you want to keep it a secret or you don't want something to be tagged or branded about you, I mean, either one, get in front of it and say, you know what, like I absolutely support this content 100%, or I support, this is absolutely my opinion, or just don't do nothing.
If you're white, stay away from the N-word, man. Yeah. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Like, he should have seen this coming. This was predictable. Like,
to be honest, though, even reading the meme, I still didn't get the meme.
I didn't get the meme either.
I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know. But I went on Reddit and I found the original like poster, and it went viral on Facebook. I don't know. I didn't get it. I don't understand what was funny about that. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about our clapback of the evening, you guys. This is a story I had no idea about. So thank you, Mike, for bringing this to our attention. Again, kind of closing out our show, talking about this whole defunding the police and like different police strategies. Another person died in police custody, but even outside of that, there's something else to be thought about. So Darrion Parker Bell, he was Darrion Parker Bell opened fire in a police station in Milwaukee, you guys, in response to his friend dying in police custody. And so there is a lot to this story. We have a clip. We're going to play that clip and we'll come back to talk about it.
20-year-old Keyshawn Thomas speaking at a vigil just moments ago, being held outside the District 5 headquarters of the Milwaukee Police Department. That's where her son died last Wednesday while in police custody. Also today, the family has identified the man suspected of opening fire in the lobby of District 5 on Friday. Bruce Harrison is there live to explain the connection of that incident to the death investigation of Keyshawn Thomas. Bruce.
Carol, that's right. We spoke with the family of a man named Darrion Parker Bell, and his mother told us that he came to District 5 after the death of Keyshawn Thomas. He walked into the lobby of this station right here and opened fire on officers, she says, with the full expectation of dying in the building, just like his friend had died here days before.
The morning of the shooting, Darrion Parker Bell's mom, Lisa Bell, says his company sent him home from work. She says he wasn't himself.
Like I said, I knew he really took it real hard. So
took his friend's death
real hard.
His friend, Keyshawn Thomas. Last Wednesday, Milwaukee police found Thomas dead inside a cell in District 5 police station. Waukesha police are now conducting an independent investigation. Ms. Bell says Thomas's death and the recent deaths of several family members pushed her son too far.
If you had a chance to speak to him before doing it, what would you have told him, Ms. Bell?
You couldn't deal with stuff on your own. Let the police, the criminal justice, whatever, deal with it. You can't take matters in your own hands.
Bell agrees with her son's sister and uncle that he didn't expect to make it out alive.
Sitting there, I think he just went in there
I think he
just
wanted to
to,
die.
yeah, it's
think
a
he really wanted to
suicide
die.
mission. Yeah, like
He knew, 'cause
who
he
goes
knew-
in the police station
He knew
to
they was
do
gonna
that?
kill him.
Yeah, that's why he wanted them to shoot at him.
He wanted to go with his friend.
Police chased Parker Bell from the station, shooting and injuring him just up the road. No officers were injured.
And it is a blessing he didn't hit the police, because, you know, it would have made matters worse. So we are happy that didn't happen. Nobody got injured.
Yes.
You know, and he's alive, so we got him still. So, you know, that's a blessing.
That is such a tragic story, but not one that we haven't heard before. So, Mike, take it away.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, we got two young men that are losing their life now, man, because he's going down for opening fire in that police station, even without hitting no police officers. They're going to stack charges on top of charges. But I mean, his friend died in police custody and he lost it, man. He lost it. I don't even have the words, man. Like, I promise I got notes right here, and my notes on this story is blank. I just wanted people to see. I wanted people to see, and I wanted people to hear that, you know, the way that we're being treated by police right now is pushing people to the edge. It literally pushed this young man to the edge. So when we're hearing Joe Biden say fund police without a clear plan of what that looks like, this is why it's problematic. Like, we have to figure out a way to get this right. We have to figure out a way to keep our streets safe, to keep our community safe, but to also keep our young men, our young women, our young people safe as well. And I'm no politician. I don't know what the answer is, but at some point we got to figure it out, because we're pushing people to the edge with the way we're living, the way that we're operating right now.
Yeah, this is such a tragic story. And I was trying to wrap my mind around this. One of the reports that I read, you guys, is that the girlfriend of Darrion Parker Bell, the 23-year-old who actually went into the station, who is the alleged shooter, she mentioned that that Darrion and Keyshawn were like brothers. And this is such a sad time. And what I can say is that this young man, we're talking about Darrion, you know, he came in there looking for answers. And when he didn't get the answers that he wanted, I mean, he lost it. I mean, he had a mental breakdown. And so right now he's being charged. Initially, when I came with this story, that charges had not been filed. But he has been formally charged. He is still in the hospital, suffering from a gunshot wound from police shooting him. And Chip, no one was injured. The toxicology report is still pending on his friend. But this is where we have to start having conversations. If Dylan Roof can have this whole mental case, like when we talk about white shooters who shoot up schools, we're like, oh my God, it's mental health. It's mental health. It's mental health. But when we're talking about a Black man who lost his brother in police custody, mind you, I mean, we're not having like conversations to say like he lost it. He reached his breaking point. And Healing Broken Wings on here is right. You don't go into, I mean, the family already knows. My brother went in here on a suicide mission.
Yeah.
He went in here to have his life taken like the life of his brother was taken as well. And so this is such a tragedy. I mean, on both sides. I can't imagine the suffering that he's going through right now, losing his friend, losing several different family members, according to his mother, and then and not having answers as to why his friend passed away in police custody. And so we need to do more to figure out what is going to be said in that. I mean, and I'm sure the toxicology report, if we play around with the narrative, Mike, is going to be, you know, oh, he had drugs in his system. And, you know,
that's because right now police can do that. We can't keep continuing to allow police to kill without punishment, you know, and for every case we see of Ahmaud Arbery, or he didn't even get killed by the police, but like for all of the cases, the George Floyds that make the news, you got to think about how many don't. You know, like, I mean, you could go look up the stats. They're there. Like, the police are still killing people at an alarming rate. Like, George Floyd's murder in the summer of protest has not changed how violent the police have been towards citizens. That hasn't changed. So if we're going to keep walking this path and we're going to keep letting police get away with killing citizens, this is the type of stuff that we're going to start seeing. And it's unfortunate, and I don't condone it, but I mean, when you push people to the edge, sometimes people break. And I think that that's what we've seen in this case right here.
You're right. It's a twofold situation. If we could put up Harry Jefferson's comment, finally a man stepped up for his friend in a real way. This kind of courage, while unfortunate, is the only way that our people will be taken serious. They kill us with no consequences too often. I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? This is exactly what we're talking about in terms of defunding the police and reallocating, funding to police. We have to start having these real conversations. You can't keep coming into the Black community and shooting and killing people and, getting 2 years after you kill us. Our life has no value. I mean, this man was like, you know what? I'm never going to see justice for my friend, and I'm going to go get justice for myself. And if that's vigilante justice, I mean, if that's the way that he felt he should have did it, I mean, that is because that is not, that's just a symptom of the root cause. And so we have to really start implementing healing. We got to make some changes in our community, and we cannot continue to police like this. Why? What happened to his friend? What happened to this 20-year-old boy that died in a jail cell? And why isn't the police in Milwaukee? Come on, Milwaukee. It's a lot going on in the state of Milwaukee, Mike Davis. So we're going to continue to stick to this story. We're running out of time here, you guys, but this is a good story for us to continue to follow. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it went this way. But that's our show tonight. Continue to send us show topics, you guys, so we can come back next week and have more conversations. Mike Davis, when you're not here, where can they find you?
You can find me at the South Seattle Emerald Road. Of course, I'm also on the morning update shows on Wednesdays and Thursday nights. I'm right here with Jules, Clapback Culture.
All right. Well, I'm Jules. Jessie, you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. You know what it is. And that's our show tonight. So glad that you took your Thursday night to come and chat with us. Can't wait to do it again next week. Until then, peace.